Peace. What's up, everybody? Today, I've been thinking about doing this video on Deion Sanders in Colorado. And as I was researching and trying to get some of my thoughts and arguments together for the video I was trying to do, I kept having some conflict. I kept making these posts and people would jump on the posts and they would attack me for asking questions as if Deion Sanders is a red herring in our community. And I got to thinking, like, why are y'all defending Deion Sanders so much? This man has a multi-million-dollar contract. He's coaching all the way in Boulder, Colorado, a school that has less than 2% black people. He left Jackson State. He's just doing him, and that's who he's always been. Why are y'all defending him? Why does Black America gravitate to this individual? There's a lot of black coaches in college football. Not a lot, but there's more in college football than there is in the NFL. And it just dawned on me, what black people see as success, what American freedmen see as success. And I thought about it, and I said to myself that, you know what? Most black people go to bed every night dreaming of getting a chance to be picked by white capital to be a sellout. That's the number one coveted position in our community. People are auditioning every day on social media to be a sellout. And they'll defend it by, I got to chase that bag. It's hard out here. I'm trying to build legacy. I'm trying to do what's best for me and my family. And I'm like, wow, y'all really, really, really have conditioned yourself to believe that white capital was going to come and pick you. And the problem in our community is that because we don't have institutions that could produce and reproduce successful people generation over time. So you get white capital that come in and they pick the most dysfunctional people to represent us, not just in America now, but globally. And I don't want to just pick on a few examples. It's so many examples you can just go. When you think about love and hip hop, those are auditions. Pick me, pick me, pick me. Basketball wise, during my era, it was BET, right? Mm-hmm. You just take anybody off BET. And what white capital is looking for, because this is a covenant position, this is like winning a lottery. If they pick you, you can represent your community in the most dysfunctional way possible. Mm-hmm. But in order for us to pick you, we got to know you down for it, right? I'll give you an example, right? One thing I was thinking about is that, and this person, at a time was a good artist, right? Goes down as a legend. Mm-hmm. But he exemplified the worst in our community, right? And it's just true. And I'm not agreeing with C. Dolores Tucker, but he damn sure made her job easy. And I remember being a child, I think this came out in like 91 or something. And I'm looking at this voluptuous dog and I'm like, this is kind of like doing something to me. And you listen to his lyrics, it's like, bees ain't ish, but hoes and tricks and all this stuff, right?
Right.
And I'm going to school and it kind of, starts to have an impact and an effect on the way we view women.
Yeah,
it was definitely a bunch of toxic, misogynist lyrics that was embedded in his raps. Even the imagery, if you remember the video. Mm-hmm. Now, Snoop Dogg will go on to become a legend. He had his adversities, but he will go on to become a hip hop legend. And now that we're doing 50 years of hip hop, he's one of the people that's celebrated now. And we kind of forget, this is how he started off. It wasn't the cool, laid back, catch a buzz Snoop Dogg. It was the more up-tempo, high-pitched voice and just the exploitation and the disrespect of women. But this is what white capital looks for. These are some of the characteristics they look for when they pick one of us to sell out our community. And I'm just using him as an example, right? But you could line the celebrities up and just pick one and just talk about the dysfunction that they exempted. I mean, they like proposed to our community. They highlighted some of the just negative stereotypes that they was able to portray and really market to the public. And when we see this, you know, like C. Dolores Tucker, when she came at it and said, you know, this isn't right. This isn't right, some of the language in the music. We should be able to police this. They cry First Amendment speech. But then you have black people on the other side defending, like, no, this is our First Amendment right. And I'm like, our First Amendment right, you know, now as a grown man, like, we really fought for the ability to call our women hoes and tricks and say the worst things about them. And from there, this is what you get. Because, see, now they don't really have to find you. They don't have to do cognizance on you and kind of see, like, is this an upstanding person? Are we able to break in? You know, because they tried to break MLK when they came with his, you know, promiscuity, but he wouldn't fold, right? And they've been coming at our leaders for a very long time. Some folded, some didn't. But now they don't have to do that because people just put all their information out on social media. They know which one is weak and which one's going to fold. So when you see somebody like this, and I listened to this young girl's raps before she blew up. Somebody sent it to me as a joke. And I was like, man, this is horrible. This woman is horrible. These raps is trash. She's never going to make it. And about 2 weeks later, she won the Sellout lottery. White Capital came and picked her, a woman that's talking about the color of her private parts, the color of her anus. And she's not Snoop Dogg or Tupac or Biggie. This woman has no talent.
Right.
Absolutely no talent.
Right.
She's just here to spread whole culture to American Freedmen women. She's just here to target American Freedmen women and get them to just sink to a level that we haven't been before, right? It's like everybody comes and gets to lower the floor. And that's what you see with it. Like, this is a coveted position. If you go up on her post, people are saying, oh, she's so cool, she's chilling, she's just laid back. And there's no real critique in what she's doing by a lot of people. This next example came a few years ago, right? This is sick. This guy didn't make it, but this is what I mean. If there was a show called Who Wants to Be a Sellout, the audience would be filled with American Freedmen every show with their hands up, waiting for somebody to call their name so they can get on show and display their dysfunction and hopefully get picked up by white capital and get marketed globally, right? This is what we do. And this is what I mean by that. This guy right here, his name was Jerk Boy, New Age Jerk Boy. This is
I never even heard of him. I'm
glad
I never heard just by the name.
Let me introduce you to New Age Jerk Boy didn't get chose, but I'm gonna play a little bit of this video. I'm gonna see if I can mute it. Right?
Which one is he?
He's the one in the middle.
Okay. The one with the dress on?
The one with the yes. Okay, I'm gonna mute this, but I'm gonna play the imagery. This is him with the wedding dress on.
He put the gun in his mouth?
He put the gun. He's deep throating the gun. He got the wedding dress on. His homeboy got the Versace and the AK on. So I guess they like, we seen what Young Thug did with it. We gonna take it a little bit further, right? So he like.
Are you sure he's a Freedman?
I don't know what he is. I want
to not claim him. Let me.
But even if he's not, Young Thug is. I'm not claiming this guy either. But this is what I mean about if we had a show that was called Who Wants to Be a Sellout, you would have people lined up around the corner. Because in our community, an individual having individual success is seen as Black excellence. And it doesn't matter what type of impact or legacy they have on the community. As long as you get yours, you've made it. And we, for the most part, esteem you.
Right.
You can talk down to us. You can stun on us. You can cuss us out. You can spread dysfunction all through our community, but it's seen as some type of success. So when you see people like Sexy Red or New Jerk Boy or back then Snoop Dogg, and you can just name them, pretty much anybody from our community who's had a semblance of success gets elevated, and even if they start off on the right path, it doesn't end well. It doesn't end well at all. there's so when it came to Deion Sanders, it's just this idea.
He ain't ours. He ain't ours.
He ain't ours.
Immigrant father and mama from Bahamas. Bye. Says she part African American, but we don't know what part. So immigrant father, mama's from Bahamas. He ain't ours. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not owning any of these Negroes no more. If they're not American Freedmen, at least one half of them. No. He's literally 25% possibly us, but they call anybody African American. No, he ain't us. He ain't us. We good. So, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Anderson's birthday.
Is
Anderson born on September 27, 1996.
Happy birthday, new age jerk boy. I hope you get your life together.
Get your life together.
I hope you get your white capital didn't pick you. I hope you go back to school and get some dignity. Take that wedding dress off.
Man.
Take them guns out your mouth.
Oh my goodness.
But this is the thing, as white capital can just scour through social media and just see, or they can just go on TV and see whoever gets a little bit of fame, a little bit of shine, and you pick these guys, right? Man, these guys want to sell out the black community,
right?
They want to be rich by any means possible, and they're willing to do whatever it is. It doesn't matter if I got to put a dress on and sing with a gun in my mouth. If I got to put fingernail polish on, put a skirt on, if I have to, in the middle of a recession, sell products to people and lie and say that this is going to make you rich. This is recession proof. These are the keys to wealth. You're going to be able to build generational wealth. I'll do it.
I mean, all it exposes is there's a devoid of talent. I mean, here's the thing. When you have substance, you don't need all that. So what they're doing is they're filling in for the lack of talent. Look at your boy, well, not personally your boy, but look at Lil Nas X, okay? I don't even generally call him that, but I'm going to say it for context because your audience will know his name. Well, I call him Montero. My thing is, he didn't have no talent, but they found somebody that they could run that game with, and they ran it to the hilt. Then when that ran out and he saw he wasn't really kicking with really our people, only the people that really condone that mess. Now you're talking about you ain't gay no more. Well, wait a minute. Well, you took some gay pills? You're not gay no more?
He was delivered.
Yeah, he don't like men's no more. So my thing was, okay, so you coming back home. But we knew that was a ploy too. That was all a ploy too. Now you know what you seen his new ploy? You seen his new ploy?
No, what's that?
He's helping his brother come out as bisexual.
I seen that.
Why is that news? Now, is your brother an entertainer? Is your brother following in your footsteps, and doing the things that you've been doing? Because if your brother is just another black man who's coming out as gay, or I guess he's gay because he must have liked girls. So now he's coming out as, why do you need to come out as bisexual? Why do you need to come out as bisexual? If you liked women and now you like men, why is that news? But see, they make it news. But what I'm noticing, because densely populated area, and I talk to a lot of them, a lot of gay people don't like that stuff no more. They see that that's now putting a target on their back. It's now starting to make sense what it made sense when I was talking about it before, Ibrahim. I was like, why is it anybody's business who y'all are horizontal with? Why y'all got to put it on you? I don't have no problem with you being proud of who you are and you're not ashamed of who you are. Why you got to wear it like that? Why you got to carry it like that? Because all that does is make the people who are assholes come at y'all. That's what it does. I mean, because I don't know gay people from straight people, and that's generally
until you say it or flaunt it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you do in your bedroom.
Nobody knows, man.
Nobody. No, and to be honest with you, nobody even cares.
No.
Nobody even cares. Now, I will say this, and I believe this is the same sentiments that Martin Luther King Jr. had, and this is why he This is why they had the back and forth with what's the strategist's name that the homosexual strategist?
Bayard Rustin.
Yeah. Bayard Rustin. Is that if you would let a white man screw you, what makes you think you won't let a white man use you to screw over your community? Because that's a very intimate, and I just think about that, you opened up to him in every way you possibly could. So what makes you think you want to go the extra mile?
Literally. I just this is so crazy. We tapped in here. So I just took a quote from a video I was watching earlier. I'm not gonna give him no shine because he don't like creators on our level. He only like the big clout chasers. Hold on one quick second. Let me find it real quick. Yeah, he don't get nobody no credit. I know I took a picture. Dang, did I take a picture here? I got too many camera phones up here. Wait a minute.
You the phone guy.
Yeah, really not trying to be either. That's the crazy thing. Get out of here. Oh, come on, man. I know I took a picture of this thing. Okay, so it was a quote that he put on this, and it was, oh no, I'm looking right past it. He said, this is what Bayard Rustin said after he was supposed to be down with us. He said this in 1986. Today, blacks are no longer the litmus paper for the barometer of social change. Blacks are in every segment of society. There are laws that help to protect them from racial discrimination. Where? In this it is in this sense that gay people are now the new barometer for social change. The question of social change should be framed with the most vulnerable group in mind.
So King seen it all along.
King seen it well before. This is 86. It's almost 20 years after they killed King. So King seen it before he died.
Mm-hmm. He's seen it all along.
He's seen it all along. And then what happens? He waits almost 20 years till after King's dead. Stevie done got the holiday and all types of things been changed. Now you want to come out and he's in a picture with a white dude. I ain't got no problem with that. But my thing is, dude, you gonna double down, triple down, quadruple down? Really?
I mean, if you get on all fours, why would you not?
Come on, man. Come on.
So
that's what makes us look bad in these spaces, dog. That's what makes us look bad in these spaces. He could have made that quote and let it go. No, he made it sure he posed for a picture and all that. And no, man. Come on, man. No, man. Yeah, he did.
So Deion Sanders in Colorado, they lose to Oregon this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a football fan, if you're a fan of football, you knew they were going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to happen. You knew they were going to lose. And I think a lot of people didn't because they bought into the hype and they're not football fans. And I got to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I was up watching Colorado versus Colorado State. And it was like 1:30 in the morning. And I was asking myself, man, why am I up? Do you want Deion to lose? And I was like, no. Then I asked myself, do you want Deion to win? And I told myself, no. Why are you watching this game? You don't even like college football. And I just found myself watching it because it was an event. And I wanted to be a part of that and watch that and see what was going to unfold. And it was a really good game. That's really part of the Deion effect. He gets people who wouldn't normally watch, who wouldn't normally support, to be able to tune in. That's the part of him being a mega star. It's like Beyonce showing up at a Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. People lose their mind and the parking lot just gets full. And next thing you know, you need some security up there, right? They're going to tear that mug down.
Yeah, and she just there for some great value.
Socks and draws.
Yeah. She there the same reason you there. I don't know why people make a big deal about celebrities coming to the store. Like they there to get some eggs and milk, just like you are. Growing up in this area, I saw a lot of college athletes and some who went on to be professional athletes. And I remember being in grocery stores or the mall with them. I've never been a groupie type. What up, dog? What up, man? You know, what up? What? Sometimes you know them a little bit more than you might know somebody, but I've never ran up on people. I've never felt like that. And some of these people are so gaga over celebrity types, man. And I don't get it, bro. I just don't get it. What you got here? What you got here? Uh-oh.
So, you know, thinking about the Deion effect has been going on for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Deion effect matter of fact, let me preface this with something else, because I need people to understand who Deion is. And Deion knows who Deion is, right? He's very sure of himself. He's very confident.
Right.
And I was watching the interview. And a young lady brought up a quote from the 1989 Deion Sanders Sports Illustrated article. And I think it really encapsulates who Deion Sanders is. And this is Deion back in 1989. He knew who he was. 30-some odd years ago, he knew who he was.
Oh, because this is a recent interview. I didn't watch this one. Is this the one that they went back and kept talking about his past? Like they
yeah.
Okay,
So this was more of a interview where, you know, she interviewed him as a fan. She said she grew up in Atlanta and she was a fan of his, and she really didn't ask him no hard questions. This isn't like the 60-minute interview where they tried to get him to speak on Jackson State. But one of the things she brought up really stood out, and here it is.
You did this article in the 80s, and I want to read the quote to you because it's
back to the 80s?
It's a great quote that applies to you right now, which is why I loved reading it so much. So this is in a Sports Illustrated article. You said, "All my life, I've been the man. I've been in the spotlight at every level. It's just a bigger spotlight. I learned the system in college. How do you think defensive backs get attention? How do you think Jim McMahon made so many millions? They don't pay anybody to be humble. Some people will come out to see me do well. Some people will come out to see me get run over. But love me or hate me, they're going to come out.
Wow.
I'm a businessman now, and the product is me. Prime time."
God, that's good. So can you put some hand claps in the edit?
Absolutely. Give it up as well.
God, that was a young Prime.
But I say this to illustrate that this person you are now is in so many ways who you have always been.
True.
What comes to your mind hearing that over 30 years later?
Wisdom. I didn't know I had that type of wisdom at that age, because.
All right, I'm gonna stop that right there. But so he understood and this has been Deion all along. He understood. I don't know, you know, what's his level of acumen, but when it comes to sports and sports business, Deion always understood the business side of things, right? First cornerback to get $1 million. He understood in order for him to get there, he would have to heighten his celebrity. He would have to heighten his not only his play, but take it outside the mode of what normally quarterbacks would do. So he would have more celebrity. So he creates this image of prime time, the big jury curl, the goal, the high skip, then the high skip turns into the dance. Deion is very in tune with the business side of sports. If I would have one critique on professional athletes outside of communities, just as individuals, is that their ability to understand the other side of the ball has always been, you know, subpar. When you think about the Stephen A. Smith and Terrell Owens fight, part of that is because Terrell Owens got a lot of his money stolen. But anyway, that's not Deion.
And that true. What you're saying there, that's purposeful. They don't want us to know the business. They didn't want us to know the business. So I have to credit, and sorry for stepping on you there, I have to credit whoever was talking to Deion when he was in college. And I would have to say that it's Bobby Bowden and those type of people that were around Deion when he was in college. I was in Atlanta when Deion got to Atlanta. And when Deion walked through that airport and they got Deion to the facilities and they was talking to Deion and all that, Deion already knew. He already knew. I don't know if you've ever seen, because you was a whippersnapper back then. I was only 19.
No, I wouldn't. I didn't know who Deion Sander was until he got to San Francisco.
Okay, so understand, they asked him how the whole thing with the Falcons came along, and they was talking to different people. They had talked to Detroit. Detroit wanted him. You know, Detroit's been perennially bad. And he was like, "Oh man, I don't want to go to Detroit." He's like, I'll ask for so much money, they won't even want to draft me. And then there was the Giants, I think, and the Giants was trying to get Deion to read a book. It's so crazy how he talks about his players not being prepped now for, planning for the game. And they was like trying to get him to read a book, to read the keys and stuff like that. And Deion was like, what's this? And he was like, I'm the best, bam, bam, bam. And he was like, where you drafting at? And they were like 10. He's like, I'll be gone by then. And he threw the book down because he already knew. He carried that, Ibrahim. It was so crazy. The way they're treating him right now, most of these people, if we could find out their ages, I bet you their ages would be closer to your age than my age. People my age have known Deion, and Deion's been this guy as a player and a personality. The people who are finding out about Deion in his past and talking about it, they, for one, they're not real sports fans, and two, they're way too young, and they're hyper moving his history, his legacy, and that's why he's catching so much heat. Deion's not catching heat from people my age.
This whole idea of like Deion being the people's champ and all that, I'm like, do y'all even understand the English language? The man named himself Prime Time.
Right.
You know what prime even means? Like, come on, man. This is all about him. Even now, and Deion is very honest. He says the quiet parts out loud. They ask him about players coming to play for him, and is he building a system that can sustain after him? And Deion says, no, these players come to play for me. They come to play for me because I got something that don't nobody else have. And after I'm gone, I'm taking this with me. It's not something that I could, teach and put into a system and that can be repeated by other people. This is that something that I got. This is the primetime effect. This is the Deion touch. So after, George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis Police Department, and you had a bunch of backlash and protests and even some small riots, right? I don't like to say riots because that's how, white folks like to categorize it, but you had some unrest. And to get the unrest to settle down, you had a lot of businesses that was offering opportunities to not just American Freedmen, but Black people, right? They was handing out token positions left and right. Off the cups of that, what you see is I'm not gonna say that's why Deion Sanders got the job, but that made it easier for him to get the job. There was a few coaches that was getting NFL jobs. There was a few college coaches that was getting head college coaches positions. And about 3 months after all that happened, Deion Sanders was able to get the Jackson State job. Now, why did Deion Sanders go to Jackson State? Well, Florida State had an opening, but they said Deion Sanders wasn't qualified to be an NCAA head coach. So did a lot of other Big Five organizations. They said, what we'll do is, and I don't even think they was offering him assistant coach position. They were saying they'll bring him in as a specialty coach, as a player's coach, and he can work his way up through the ladder. Now at this time,
at 53 years old,
and Deion being prime time, being who he is, that's like bringing Charles Barkley to your university and say, I'm not even gonna give you an assistant coach position. I'm gonna, put you on the bench and you could teach people how to rebound. And we're gonna let Joe Schmo be the assistant coach and the person who's been coaching, who's been barely reaching 500 every year. So Deion goes to Jackson State. Now, this is where my critique comes in of him. Deion goes to Jackson State, and he comes in with all this Southern Baptist rhetoric. Right? He does really good at Jackson State. He brings a lot of star power. I don't think people understood who Deion Sanders was. I'm talking about as far as millennials and zillennials until he got to Jackson State. Even I, as an older millennial, didn't understand the type of star power he had. I remember Deion Sanders dancing around with MC Hammer, being on MTV, BET, being real flashy. I remember the Super Bowl with San Francisco one year. Then he goes to Dallas and wins another Super Bowl. I remember all of that stuff, right? But I didn't know, because I'm not a huge football fan, right? I'm more on the basketball side. I knew he was a celebrity. I liked him. I liked his Nikes. A few years ago, about 2010 to like 2016, 17, the Deion Sanders was the hottest selling shoe. They just brought out the retros and all the young kids was craving them things and they was selling out. They was bringing them out in every color. But I didn't realize how big of a celebrity he had until he got to Jackson State.
Right.
He gets to Jackson State and he starts to bring all of these celebrities there. And, Wallow and Gilly the Kid was like some of the first people I seen. These are just YouTube sensations. But then the sidelines get filled with Rick Ross and just Young Dolph and the whole PRE music group, and just more people come, and I'm like, wow, like people is really coming to see Deion. And me being somebody that loves to talk and that listens to a lot of lecture, when I hear Deion talk, he's really basic. Like I'm like, sometimes he's funny, he's entertaining, he seems to be personable, but a lot of it is just really basic. But anyway, Deion had a huge impact on Jackson State. He partnered with Walmart, and this is when I started to realize, like, man, this man, like, really, for him to go out and started to create them partnership deals.
Walmart, American Airlines. He had something going with Under Armour. He had people building the locker rooms out. He had people Walmart made the field.
Yeah,
the field looked horrible. They couldn't even practice on it. It was just so much stuff, and it was just, to be honest, people didn't realize what he did off the field because they only pay attention to what he did on the field. But do they even realize they didn't have a field before he got there?
No, they practice on the game day field.
They practice on the game day field. That's unheard of.
So you got this article, and this article talks about, he brought $185 million in advertising and exposure to Jackson State, Jackson, Mississippi. And we know that Jackson, Mississippi is 85% black. Yeah. Not only that, because it's, predominantly black and it's in the South, in Mississippi, where a lot of us, when I'm driving, I try to avoid Mississippi even now. Okay. I'm just keeping Mississippi is one of them states that I don't even give a chance. I try to avoid it.
I got it.
I try to avoid it. You in Memphis and you cross into Mississippi, you trying to get out of Mississippi as fast as possible.
I've literally detoured flights and different things like that. I was like, no, if I got to switch over in Mississippi, I've never even wanted to change over in Mississippi. And I know people are like, oh man, you ain't never went back to where your mom was born. No, I'm good.
Mississippi was the first state I was driving through, and I seen this white stuff in the field, and I was like, what is that? It's hot as hell. It can't be snowing. And I got out. Something just, called me to get out and check it out, and it was cotton. And I was like, this is a cotton field in Mississippi. And then I just, for that whole week, my brain was just somewhere else. This is a cotton field. And so somebody from the Midwest, right? Even though my family's from Alabama, born in Cleveland, then we come to Indianapolis, somebody who's predominantly always in the Midwest, except for, a few summers we would go back down to Alabama, but being in a cotton field in Mississippi had a profounding impact on me, and it kind of really spiraled my brain. So
was this old? In Mississippi, was this old, or is this like something that they still cultivate down there?
No. This was like 2017. This was 2017. So I pull over and I just take it all in. I'm in a cotton.
No, what I'm saying, was it like an old decrepit cotton field, or is this something look like?
No. So now they have the, in certain parts, we went and buried my business partner father in Tarboro, North Carolina. Got it. And their main crop is also cotton. So you still have American freedmen that work in the cotton fields till this day. And he talks about, how his grandparents were sharecroppers, and now cotton is still king in certain cities and stuff. Now they have these big machines that pick the cotton. I don't know what the people do in those fields, but it's still American freedmen that work for these whites who own these farmlands that grow cotton.
Yeah, I thought it was all machinery. Now I didn't think there was nobody out there with a satchel still out there picking cotton.
Not a satchel unless you end up in Angola or something.
Okay.
Not a satchel.
Okay.
But you do have people that man the machines that pick the cotton. So so Deion's down in Jackson, Mississippi. He's bringing millions and millions of dollars down there. Jackson University, Jackson State University was the only place that would give him a head coaching position. Not only give him a head coaching position, but basically give him keys to the football program. They allow him to pick his own staff. That's big. Right. He basically, they rolled out the red carpet for him. Mm-hmm. Deion said in 88, 89, Deion signed like a $500,000 contract, right? And then he also signed with the New York Yankees. And then the contract that came after that, I believe, was $1 million. And everything over there was like, $1 million, $5 million, $7 million. And it just goes up and up and up. Even now, before he got the job with Jackson State, he had a multi-million deal with Barstool Sports. Deion has been good for a long time. Like we said, Deion understands the business side. So when Deion gets down to Jackson State, sounding like a Southern Baptist preacher after, the George Floyd unrest and all of this heightened racial tension in America, he's like, where we need to be. I'm with my people. Even in the 60-minute interview, they interviewed Travis Hunter, the #1 football recruit and quarterback in the nation, who said, I'm taking my talents to Jackson State. You see him in a 60-minute interview where he says, hey, it would be one thing for me to go and play for Alabama or Georgia.
Well, Florida State was actually where he was supposed to go. Deion
stole him. So for me to bring those talents to Jackson, Mississippi, he said, this is big. This is for my people. And when he gets down there, right, and they came up with a lot of money to get him down there. I'm not acting like he just, found his way down there with poor little Jackson with no money. But they're doing NIL deals like this. Mm-hmm. This is that Greenwood Bank, right? They're
Big Mike, or what it was his name?
Killer Mike.
Killer Mike, yeah. Killer Mike.
Yeah, so you have these deals, but it's all centered around the people. You see Deion Sanders in the pool talking about there's no clean water. He has to wash up in the pool. Now we know Deion Sanders doesn't live with the common folks.
Right.
It was all a marketing ploy. It was all marketing. I understood that. No head coach need to be. He could have did whatever he wanted to do. They could have got water down there, and I'm sure they did. But for him and his team, not for the city. Don't get me wrong. Right. But for him and his team. But it was all this idea of community. Mm-hmm. Community. These kids at Jackson State, they get to come and they get to see Rick Ross. They get to come and see Young Dog. They get to come and see all of these celebrities. Those celebrities need somewhere to eat. They need somewhere to sleep. Like if you in Jackson, Mississippi, where else you gonna eat but with your people? I need some soul food. I need, like, what's the best? So it really simulated the economy. It seemed like a win-win situation. To be honest, in the interview with 60 Minutes, Deion did say if he get an opportunity, if he gets a call from a Big Five, from a school in a Big Five program, he will at least take the call. Mm-hmm. He will at least take the call. My issue is that here's a man that said it wasn't about the money. I hate to be the pocket watcher, but Deion good. And I think a lot of people that defended Deion isn't good. Mm-hmm. So they said he getting $5 million when he was getting $500,000 at Jackson State. Yeah, but you don't have $50 million in your account. Right. You ain't been signing $1 million check since 1990. That's the difference here, right? So I'm not per se calling him a sellout, but the thing is, like, when is enough enough? And how do we judge that? So anyway, Deion not only goes to Colorado University, he takes the Calvary with him. He takes Travis Hunter. He takes Shedeur Sanders. He takes Shilo Sanders. He basically takes all of the good talent.
Right.
And he takes some of the coaching staff. I think he takes the cheerleading coach. And that's this idea that Deion Sanders is giving these kids opportunity. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe in the future, if he starts to, like, take some 1-star or 2-star kids and bring them to his program, will he be giving kids opportunity? You don't give a 5-star recruit opportunity. I mean, let's just be honest with you. He's not giving those kids, those 4-stars and 5-star recruits. You covet those kids. You go after those kids. You recruit those kids since the 8th, 9th grade. You're not giving those kids opportunity.
The kid he got on Colorado's team now, Dylan Edwards. He's had Dylan Edwards since he was 4. And Dylan is at, I don't know if Dylan was going to go to Jackson State. I think he was. I don't even know his whole history because I haven't really followed him. But I know that he's been with Prime since he was 4 years old. Now, I don't even like the fact that they start kids playing football at 4 and 5, but he's been under his tutelage since he was 4 years old. He's never known any other coach. He's never known any other trainer. That's actually putting that kid at a disadvantage because sooner or later, he's going to have to play for somebody that's not Deion. So hopefully Deion has coached him up enough mentally to where he's got him into a place where, dude, I ain't going to be with you forever. I'm going to take you as far as I can take you. But he's probably giving that kid a chance, even though he is pretty fast, where he might not, he's not a dog like there's other kids around the country that would be better than him. So, you know, where Travis and Shedeur are on the upper echelon of talent, Dylan Edwards he's good, but I can't say that he's the best back out there, you know, outside of, you know, he's probably top 25, maybe top 30, but he's definitely not top 5. He's not a top 5 player.
So I covered this, you know, because I wanted to get people to understand the argument that I was making. And I think a lot of it went over their head. Nobody's saying that Deion Sanders wouldn't have went for the money. I only held him accountable for him saying one thing and then doing another. And this is just some of the language that was coming from the Jackson State University at the time. You should have heard the coaches in the SEC. They knew that this trend was to catch fire. It was just a matter of time before their monopoly was over.
Change your mind. Coach Ron, he just let me know how big of an impact I can have on the people, and that's one of the things I want to do. I wanted to shine a light on our people and shine a light on HBCUs.
Our people, you mean?
Yeah, African Americans.
What he was going to do was normal. That's been done. Big time recruit going to a big time school. But a big time recruit chooses to go to Jackson State. Oh, that changes the trajectory of so many other kids. Now they're saying, if it's good enough for Travis to go there and play, it may be good enough for me.
So it's this idea. It's this idea that, you know, we all in. We doing our due diligence when it comes to uplifting the HBCU and the American Freedman culture. And that's why we got behind Deion. Because when you do right by my people, I'm going to support you. But I also know that's the game that celebrities play. That's the grift that a lot of our people play to make it.
Right.
See, my issue is that when they pivot, we need to pivot. When they pivot, we need to pivot. So you get these 3 women, they get together over Mike Brown's cadaver, right, after being killed by the police, and they're all organizing and saying, yeah, Black Lives Matter, and we need to end police brutality, especially against Black men. But then they come out with a website, and it says, you know, we need to center this conversation around women and queer folks. And they don't even have Black men on the website. Then when they get the money, they get all this money. They don't even get the money to the chapters that's in the street getting hosed down and getting maced and locked up. They take the money and they say, we're going to buy multi-million-dollar mansions out in white enclave because we need spaces where we could snooze with the same people we say we're trying to get away from, right? So now this, like, you start with a Black issue, but then you get the money and you pivot.
Right.
You get a little bit of notoriety and you pivot. Another example, right? After the game, Colin Kaepernick says, they asked him, why are you kneeling? He says, I'm kneeling because Black men being gunned down by police. And this needs to change. You got these unarmed Black men being gunned down by police. He goes from that to not even saying nothing. Now you just got everybody speaking on his behalf. And when they interview him, he's not saying anything.
No. He's trying to get back in the league. Hell, I'm like, what?
And then it goes from police brutality against American Freedmen men and then he pivots. Then it comes that I'm being blackballed from the NFL. I need to get back into the NFL. Now the issue is not police brutality. It's about Colin Kaepernick trying to get back to the NFL so he can get multi-million-dollar contracts, right? Or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Well, here's the thing, though. I tried to tell people a long time ago, once he took the check, he was done. That was his settlement. That was his settlement. That was his insurance policy. That was his retirement package. That money was compiled from the owners. And anybody can say whatever they want to say, but they put that little kitty together and they were like, give him this money, but he's never going to step on another NFL surface. And that was probably an unspoken word, or it could have been spoken in private between a few owners, but I knew he would never walk on another NFL team's field again. And I kept trying to tell people that. Once you take that type of money, it's hush money.
I'm not taking a buyout on the way out the door. He thought if he went quietly, they would play ball fairly. No, y'all gonna pay me. I'm gonna do like Gilbert Arenas did. I'm gonna sit. Y'all gonna pay me everything y'all owe me, whether I get to play or not. I'm taking this money. Because whether I play or not, my career is coming to an end.
I don't think his money was right. I think he lived outside of his means the first few years he was in the pros, and make sure he helped out his family. Remember, he was an adopted kid. He probably helped out his family who raised him, and he was out there living his life. I don't believe his money was as strong, and he probably looked at, I'm gonna live another 30, 40, 50 years. I need to get this right. And I think he made that decision. And also, I didn't like his girlfriend at the time. I don't know if he's still with her.
I was about to, I didn't want to, I
didn't like her. I didn't like her.
When the money left, did Nessa leave too?
I ain't heard her name. I ain't seen her in no pictures with him.
I ain't seen him. I seen him posing like Huey P. Newton. I ain't see her nowhere around. She can't flare it up and do the Angela Davis.
You're gonna make me when we get off here too. I'm gonna go look. I'm gonna find out if they still together, because I believe that she was only around for the notoriety.
So when they pivot, we need to pivot.
Flat out.
So we're supporting Deion because Deion is supporting Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi is 85% African American. I'm gonna say more than likely 85% American Freedmen.
Mm-hmm.
So we're supporting him because he's supporting us. It's reciprocity.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing issue to the water crisis. He's bringing money down there. 185 million is a lot of money for one person to be able to bring into the city, and it's coming in unconventionally, meaning our people gets to put a hand in that pot. You get to get a little bit of that money. It's not like they're doing these big conventions and stuff. They even said that like the tickets, the games were sold out. People was charging for parking. If you ever been to a college, we know this, that only football and basketball makes money unless you're at some unique school that has like a really good baseball team or hockey team. Only football and basketball makes money. So Deion Sanders brings in all this money. It goes to the school. They get to get better facilities. They get to get, better books, and just everything gets better when the football team or the basketball team is winning. They also got I was about to say Mo Cheeks, not Mo Cheeks, the young brother from Alabama that played with LeBron.
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams coaches the basketball team.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I think that are lost too, because I have been in favor of Deion's moves, and I know he did this at Jackson State too. The weeks before interview, after winning Colorado State, they really wanted him to. They're trying to get Deion to do something that he's never done. Deion's never been a shit talker about his opponents. His shit talking is about himself. He builds himself up versus tearing his opponents down. They ask him like, hey, you've been seeing the numbers around here. You've been seeing I got all the audio because I was going to do a whole situation on it, but I said, no, I'm gonna wait. And because I want to see the hype of these same reporters now and after then lose 3-4 games, because they're gonna lose 3-4 games. So especially with the injuries that they got.
Yeah.
So Deion said, you know what? I'm too locked in to be paying attention to that stuff. He was like, but what I do like seeing the other sports. He's only coached one season. He ain't gotten into basketball season. He ain't gotten into baseball season. He's been around because he took the job, and he was around for baseball season, and he was around for the end of basketball season last year. But he said, what I do like is I like to see these other sports being able to advance their movement because they're bringing in recruits now on the weekends. So Deion is actually seeing an uptick in the women's basketball program, the men's basketball program, the other sports that were going to bring in recruits. They're bringing them in on these football weekends. When what's happening is now they're getting to see the celebrities. They're getting to walk through the football buildings and see the players and stuff like that. That may help a basketball player come to Colorado. That may help a women's basketball player come to Colorado. That may help a baseball player, hockey player come to Colorado because of the notoriety. Because you got to know all the millions that are coming, most of them are going to go to the football program, but the rest of them, and once they got what they need, because they ate off of them, football been eating off of other sports. They ain't been doing that for 20 years. So they've been eating off of other sports.
Yeah.
So what they're going to do is pay it back forward and make sure they uplift those other programs. Deion says stuff like this in his interviews, and they never talk about that. They never talk about, and you know that's part of their interview. That's part of their meeting for the weekend. They get the chance to sit with Coach Prime. He has special times set up to where when recruits come in, he meets them all. If it's just a quick selfie and a handshake, they got a chance to say they met Coach Prime. That might be a decision maker right there. And then if they got a dog, they're gonna be like, can you spend 5 minutes with him, Prime?
Yeah.
Damn, you know how that works.
Yeah. It's the backdoor deals.
The backdoor deals. There you go.
So my biggest critique was that, he said what he said, and then before the job got done, he just leaves, right? And he really didn't he did a lot for Jackson State, but like I said, when you pivot, we pivot. Right. So the same person who was at Jackson State it's not the same mission at Colorado. That's less than, it's not even 2% black. And then he goes up there and he's saying stuff like this.
Hospital dealing with these blood clots, getting 2 toes amputated and the sides of my legs cut out. That I would be in Colorado in this beautiful weather, this beautiful place, this beautiful city, which is virtually crime-free with over 36,000 students and a fan base that just won't stop. Don't you ever tell me nothing that God can't do, because this is flat out incredible. God, this is incredible.
I just don't like, why are you talking about the crime up there?
So to me, and he's had a couple moments that I could have called him on it. That was some clown shit. I don't like the fact that he said that about the crime. Then he said, did he actually say the percentage? No, you said the percentage.
No, I said the percentage. He so it's more to it. I'm gonna play the rest.
He alluded to it that he's in a white town now. He alluded to it that he's in a white town. I don't like that.
Oh, yeah.
And considerate and kind.
So now he's about to talk about his players. Right, and this is what he has to say about his players.
These young men are going to be on campus respectful and considerate and kind, opening doors for you and making sure everything is copacetic. And they're going to say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, or they're going to have to deal with me. That's just the way I father. That's the way I parent. That's the way I coach. I'm old school. Sometimes I may look like an old fool, but I'm just old school. Till this thing kicks off, because we are coming. Go to Colorado. You have no idea what you blessed me with, the opportunity that you've given me, and I feel like I owe you. So every day I'm going to work for you. I'm going to strain for you. I'm going to develop for you. I'm going to commit for you. I'm going to do the things that others wouldn't do. Baby, we're coming. So anybody ask you something about when is he coming back?
I had a problem with all that. I'm not, listen. If we building generational wealth, if we doing black excellence, if we, whatever they accuse him of doing, I'm doing this for me and mine. This is about me and my I don't owe you anything.
Right.
Your team was 1-11. You was the worst job I could have got. I believe Auburn was open at the time. Wisconsin was open at the time. He got the worst job. Deion got the worst job, but it's the primetime effect. It's the primetime effect. And I don't even think Colorado knew what they were getting. I just don't think they knew what they were getting into.
I think they knew that they needed to put butts in the seats, because you got to understand, this is something else that people haven't talked about. The AD was on the hot seat. They was ready to fire the AD. Deion's like the fourth black coach. I mean, it hasn't been him and Mel Tucker. They had two other black coaches too.
Mm-hmm.
And this AD was on the hot seat. I don't know what it is about him and black coaches. I appreciate him. I'm glad he's bringing some of us off the bench, but he was on the hot seat because I think he took some other chances with some other programs. Sounds like a really good dude, but he's had some bad luck with some teams, and he was on the hot seat.
Yeah, man, these guys is unqualified. Like, nah. I
don't know his background. I don't know his background.
Listen, if you got a history of losing, I'm gonna just say you're a loser. You had a major Division I school. Like, come on, man. All that talent out there. Come on, man. They just don't. They just give, because see that other side of the football, that's for them. The side where you sacrifice your body and end up, with bad mobility in your 40s and 50s. That's for us to sacrifice. Theirs come with less risk, greater reward. Ours come with less reward, greater risk.
That's
but
right.
This talks about just the impact that Deion has had on Boulder, Colorado. And before I say that, before I read from this article, I want to tell you this. Aurora, Colorado, Boulder, Colorado, certain parts of the Denver, Colorado area, that whole Northwest region, even when you think about like Salt Lake City, where BYU and all that stuff is, you ever had something that's brand new, that's like really brand new? You can't recreate brand new, right? You take it fresh out of the pack, it got the brand new smell, it got the brand new feel. It's just brand new, right? You can clean it off, you can do what you want to do, but you can't recreate brand new. Like those white flight areas up there, man, those things look brand new stores, brand new stucco on the sides of the building, brand new curves. It's just brand new. Those people are like flooded with money, right? So like this Deion effect was big for Jackson, Mississippi, but for Boulder, Colorado, it's like, it's just more money, right? He's just the new He's the golden attraction, right? It doesn't mean as much.
You got to understand too, though, if they weren't going there, they were going somewhere else. Colorado State, I thought, had a couple good years somewhere in there. So people could glean there. And there's other teams around in the neighboring states that people can pay attention to because they have the money to. They have the money to go watch another football program. Colorado University ain't doing that. Well, let's watch the Broncos. But
they did a program that said only 1% of Colorado colleges bring in revenue.
Yeah.
Right. So right now, Deion is the cash cow. And this article talks about it. It says the home opener, right? $17 million in direct and indirect impact on the community.
Come on, man.
According to Hubert, that's up 70% from Colorado's game on the same weekend of 2022, right? Up 70% from last year. This man is a cash cow. He's bringing in all types of money, and he's also bringing in celebrity. There's a and I wanted to pull this up, right? But now that Deion Sanders has lost, right? Now that he's lost, and people, for some reason, they feel the need to like defend Deion and it's Deion's Black Americans team. No, hell no. You can't be Black Americans team owned, operated, and controlled by white folks. No. You can't be our team. So we're like all that nonsense that's coming. But then I also seen this. You had, and I don't know why Eton Thomas would do this. Usually Eton Thomas has, spot on. I'm not going to pretty good commentary. And if he's off, he's not that far off. I didn't understand this at all.
He's still kind of an all lives matter dude sometimes when he does.
This right here is way off.
Yeah.
The hate that Coach Deion Sanders is receiving is the same hatred the Fab Five and Muhammad Ali received from mainstream America for being too confident, too proud, too uppity, too much out of their place. So they were despised and people rejoiced when they lost and hated when they won. First off, people love Deion Sanders. He took that money train out of Jackson, Mississippi that was 85% Black and took it to a white enclave.
Right.
Game day has been there twice already. We're just now going into the 5th week. We ain't even made it to the 5th week yet.
Right.
We're just now going into the 5th week. Game day, ESPN was down there. They took Molly, Stephen A. Smith, and
they're
Shannon Sharp got to sleep on his private jet on the way there.
Whatchamacallit's there this week. Skipping his team, the undisputed team. They'll be there on Friday.
So this idea that he's receiving hate, listen, the reason people took up for Michigan is because those was young men.
Yeah.
Those was young men who was dealing with the brunt of racism, white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
Duke was the white team, even though they had Grant Hill and a few other black players, right? We all know, if you know college basketball, you know, at that point in time, Mike Krzyzewski only picked certain types of black people. I'm not saying anything bad about Grant Hill, but he only took you from a stable community with a mom and a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Juwan Howard, those guys represented Black America, and they were kids. They were ours, so we took up for them. They were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, right? Deion is 50-something years old. He don't need us to defend him. Muhammad Ali, again, about reciprocity, Muhammad Ali was advocating for us. Therefore, we had his back. He was talking about our issues. He was a spokesperson for the things that was going on in our community. He was doing what he was supposed to do as somebody with a heightened platform. I'm going to speak on the issues that a lot of people don't get to speak on because they don't have the position that I have. Therefore, we took up for him. There was a story. Have you heard this one? I believe it was in Cleveland, Ohio. Muhammad Ali had this beautiful, like, drop top Cadillac. He parked it outside the store. Somebody stole it and took off. And when word got around it was Muhammad Ali Cadillac. They put the word out there, and somebody brought that Cadillac right back. That's the type of respect you get when you advocate for the people.
Yeah.
That's the type of respect you get when you advocate for the people.
Yeah.
We don't have to defend Deion Sanders. He's doing pretty good on his own.
Deion had 2 careers. I'm sorry, 3 careers. He had a football career, he had a baseball career, and he had a broadcasting career. We can't really count the coaching career because they don't want to count the high school and the little league stuff. That's really a career for many men. I know many men that raised from little league to high school, and they made good livings doing what they did because the endorsement deals and all that stuff is what you play in. But Deion's had 3 solid careers: football, baseball, and broadcasting. I'm not going to feel sorry for Deion, not 1 second. I don't give a shit who talks about him. I'm not going to feel sorry for him. I may defend him as a black man. I'm not just going to let you race soldier your commentary all up. That's why I'm banned on Facebook right now.
But you're not obligated to.
I'm not obligated
like some people feel like, oh, he's under it. And I'm like, no, you're not. If you like college football, if you like prime time, if you like the team, then by all means support. But that's not Black American team. That's not the American Freedmen team. There's no black and white when it comes to this. Deion, if there was a line drawn in the sand, Deion would be on the other line. Like leaving Jackson State push you on the other side. And then like the whole imagery of like everything they doing is just super elite. Super elite. So as I'm like researching for this, you know, and the guy in this video, the main one you're going to see is Deion Sanders Jr. He's the worst culprit. He's the worst culprit, man. But I'm going to play this video. When you support them, you're supporting their individual ambitions.
Right.
That's what it is, right?
Right.
And this is what you get from it.
Was at a standstill, I done panic. Now them rings on my fingers, they dance. Now them rings on my fingers, Titanic. I would Burberry ponchos, I'm fancy. Girl, my ex want me back, I can't chance it. Gotta run them bands up on my family. I swear it was night after night, this didn't get right, and I wanted to give it up. Fast forward a few years later, my hardest decision was Corvette or Bentley truck. And that C8, I'm cruising the street, it's about 30 degrees, but I ride with that top off. The nigga y'all doubted done took off. Underdog turn a big dog. That boy walk down a Rari, I let it. My bro bottom made back, go and spread it. We could've bought both of them in full, but we decided to bid our credit. They say that boy that corny for real. Guess I ordered that corn with these meals. Had to tone that shit down for a pill. I still stay with these Jones, hold that steel. My bro stay in IG on that turf. Yeah, them boys gon' get real on that field. I put rings on my fingers to chill. That's blind me when I turn that wheel. They all doubt me, I hate how that feel. Run it up.
So is that his music?
I believe that's his music as well. He has music on there, so
so that's clown shit. I mean, I'm just gonna call it what it is. That's clown shit because that right
you don't like Deion? Is that better than Must Be the Money?
I'll take must be the money because I thought those were some of the most corny, gimmicky lyrics ever. But I like that sample.
I like Burberry poncho. You don't want a Burberry poncho.
See, all that does is put a target on his brother's back, and it's gonna bring out the media cat for his dad. Nobody else can really mess with him. I know what they're saying. I got an echo coming in at some point. But I know what they're saying about coaches ganging up, getting Oregon coaches the info. That's called scouting, game film. If anything, they may have gave them some things they picked up as far as reading keys and different things like that. But you can't give anybody anything anymore. It's all digital now. You can watch the games in real time. You can go back and watch games. All you gotta do is watch the plays. You ain't even got to watch in between the plays. They no huddle. They could check some tendencies, but they didn't hand them a game plan, bro. And when they kept saying that they handed them, Colorado was going to lose anyway. So all they did was gave them maybe some things that this is what they like to do, some tendencies or whatever. Colorado was losing that game anyway. They don't have much of a chance against a powerful opponent without what's his name? Travis.
Mm-hmm.
Travis cuts off half the field on defense. That makes that quarterback think twice about throwing his way. But a boss gonna throw his way anyway. Caleb Williams would have thrown his way this week if he had been there, and Bo Nix would have thrown his way. Because they're not gonna let that guy stop their game plan. They're gonna test him. They're gonna at least test him, and they're gonna beat him a couple times because he's gonna overplay because that's what makes him a dog. But that stuff right there, what does that have to do with football at all?
See, that's the money. That right there, that's the money. So they get the money, they have individual success, and that's what they spend the money on. Now, mind you, we are in the middle of heightened inflation. Mm-hmm. Heightened inflation. Evictions is skyrocketing in our community, right? People have to pick between fuel and food and all type of other essential needs. Mm-hmm. And then you got these guys running around. And it's like, this is not the time to do that. But since they're disconnected from the community, they don't know that. They don't know that at all. They're going to do whatever they want to do, right? And we're not obligated to support him. Now, I don't have to hate you for it, right? But I'm not going to defend you. And it's this idea of having a class enemy, somebody who speaks rhetoric that's harmful to you and your community. And then you're gonna sit there and take up for them because they're having some type of success is just asinine. It's crazy. And we're the only people that they come to with that. Like, you gotta support him because it's black. No, I don't have to support him. I don't have to support him at all.
Absolutely not.
All I gotta do is keep doing what I've been doing. Right? And like I said, it's the same thing when I'm watching that game, right? I was just watching it. Right? Not because I love him, not because I hate him. I just watching it.
He coached 35, 36 games in Jackson. I don't think I've seen a full game the whole 3 years he was there. I just followed the effect of him. I didn't follow each game. I'm not going to be lock, stock. I don't even follow my own team the way I used to. I just got too much stuff going. So, yeah.
This idea that, like, everybody's happy that Deion Sanders is there, even though he's a cash cow, isn't true either. And you see this article by SI that, Deion Sanders gets a parking ticket.
I didn't understand that. They were in Oregon. So
no. This is before they left. This is the day before they left for Oregon. So he gets a parking ticket, right?
Okay.
And his son gets it on Instagram, but he must have took it down. But they put a ticket on his Lamborghini, right?
Oh God.
Okay, so Lamborghini prom.
Oh, boy.
I love to see it. They even gave him a ticket. They done gave my dad a ticket. Yeah, boy, it's crazy.
So he gets a ticket, and what you find out is that a lot of the football players is getting tickets. I believe they've been getting tickets since the summer. And this article talks about, at least 8 of their cars that's been around the facility have been getting ticketed. And that's just, that's just white people showing them that, y'all might be here and might have those big NIL deals and flashing all this jewelry and driving these expensive cars. Shedeur got the Maybach, somebody got the Corvette, somebody got the big body Benz, but that don't mean anything to us. We were good before y'all came, and we'll be good after y'all leave. I don't like none of this, right? And you and the same officers that's giving them tickets is able to get overtime because Deion Sanders is there.
Period. He's helping to pay.
I don't care about none of, and they don't care about none of that.
He looked like he was parked in a parking space. Did it say why he's getting tickets? Is a meter running out? Is that what it is?
I knew it was Deion Sanders' car because I know can't too many other people afford this or will even buy this car if they can.
Right.
We don't drive this in Boulder.
Right. And that dummy who was driving the Vet, a Vet is a rear-wheel drive car all day long. They ain't never made no all-wheel drive Vet.
Well, in the song, if you listen to the song, he said his biggest decision was between a Vet and a Maybach. So obviously he went with the Vet and found out that it doesn't drive in snow.
I mean,
so he's going to be doing that all winter.
Yeah, he'll be spinning. He'll find him a 4-wheel drive, or he'll be off in a ditch somewhere. And hopefully we don't hear about no unfortunate behavior. A Vet doesn't survive in Boulder, Colorado in the wintertime. It's over.
Nah.
If it snows, if it drifts, he's done because a Vet stays off the ground. What, 8 inches tops?
Yeah.
You get a drift of snow up under a Vet, you're stuck. You're calling a tow truck because you're not getting off of it. So
he's driving it in the wintertime.
Okay.
He's testing it out. And that's basically what this video was about, is that, we audition and covet this idea of being sellout so much so that when you see somebody that don't take the money, that don't go for it, they get ridiculed.
Right.
It used to be taboo to sell out. Now it's taboo not to sell out.
This is why you and I will never make it to that
Jackson State. People got a bigger issue with him staying at Jackson State than leaving for Colorado. Right?
Yeah,
you're supposed to take the $5 million, even though he got more money now than he'll ever spend. Somebody tried to make an argument that Colorado got better medicine. Man, this man is a multimillionaire. He can fly to Johns Hopkins and fly back before the game. Like he can get whatever medical treatment he wants. Let's stop this.
Deion can pay for surgery in an airplane. They've got medical centers built in airplanes. He could be in the air, be like, I don't want to get my surgery done. Don't amputate my toes on the ground. I want to be in the air. He has that kind of money. So they need to stop. I know for one thing, they did say something about the medical facilities, but you notice how that's kind of gone away now, because that's probably a misspeak, because there's some great hospitals in the South where people fly from the North to the South to get special things done all across Florida, Georgia. I think that was spoken, and he might have had to tell them to calm that down, because don't be making it seem like Mississippi ain't got facilities, like they just sitting down there with a gauze pad and a dirty syringe. They got. Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like I'm in a beautiful place. I'm on, I can no crime here. Come on, man. Them kids, they causing trouble just like kids on any campus. You got crime, you might not have any of that generational crime, but that's only because you got 1% in Boulder.
What you get is a lot of things that's overlooked. So
when Chauncey grew up
in our community, we'll get locked up for loitering, and then in their community, the police come and say, you guys can't skateboard at the bank after hours, you got to go home. But there won't be no, even and in my video, I use Ray Allen as an example. When he was playing for Miami, him and his wife, and at the time his kids was little, they were like toddlers or younger, and they were sleeping. The white kids, the prosecutor's son, and some of his friends broke into their house and decided to play peekaboo while Ray Allen was asleep. What? And those kids, they end up getting, like, it took a lot for them to get prosecuted. I think they dismissed a lot of the charges, and they end up giving them like community service or something like that. In our community, we would have got burglary, breaking and entering, probably criminal confinement, you was going to the penitentiary. So that's the
kidnapping. You got attempted kidnapping, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so it's up to the discretion of the prosecutors and the police to say, you got some drugs, I want to throw this away or I want to charge you for it. So Don't believe that no crime. Don't believe the only crime that happens is when a kid gets pissed off, grabs his AK-47 and runs up to the nearest school. You know, when you look at rapes and thefts and all that stuff, is extremely prevalent there in all white communities. So the idea that if you're in America and there's no crime, you better be worried. Be worried. So like the idea that Deion Sanders is doing something for us, that he's giving kids opportunity, that's false. These kids is 5-star and 4-star athletes. They can go anywhere they want to go. He's lucky to have him. And what we've seen from last week, he's going to need more.
He's gonna need dogs. He's gonna need dogs. He's got to have horses up front. I follow football. Like you said, you're a basketball guy. I'm a football guy. And I just had a stream where I broke down Deion lost the game in the trenches. And for the rest of the season, when he loses, he's going to lose the game in the trenches. They're not going to lose games based on their skill players. They're pretty tight with skill players. Even with some injuries, they don't have the horses up front.
Man, they were splitting that O-line like they were splitting that D-line like the Red Sea.
Man, I mean,
we don't need to defend him because this is happening. Right? To me, this is just two black men with NIL deals that's proud to have money, right?
He's telling Shedeur, you ain't shit. I got this too.
If I'm gonna defend one of them, I'm gonna defend the one that didn't grow up in mansions, that doesn't have a multimillionaire father, that just came into money and maybe is a little bit flashy because it's new to him. I'm not gonna defend the one that's been having that was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Yeah, so I've been watching Shedeur on TV for 8 years now. See, that's what people also got to understand. Shedeur was on a reality TV show 8 years ago. 8 years ago. He's a TV star. You go back and look at them, look at the Deion Sanders. I mean, I just watched the clip of him and Babyface. Babyface basically handing Tracy to him, his ex-wife, to Deion. I didn't realize they disclosed all that stuff on that show. I'm like, no wonder his appeal has broadened so much. Him and Babyface had a conversation basically saying, here's my wife. You have her now. You take care of her. And Deion saying, thanks, bro. You're a good sport. I wish I would.
But even with that, because you hear so much about family, and I love Deion because he's a family man, and I'm not nitpicking, but they're not married. He's not married to Tracy Edmonds. They've been together for like 8 to 10 years. But
that's the crazy thing. Babyface handed it over like he was handing him over, and Deion and her was gonna get married. And now look where we sit. 8 years later, they still booed up. Which lets me know that they're both emotionally damaged from their first marriages.
Well, now that you bring that up, and I'm not bringing this up to disparage him. We all have our highs and lows in life. But after Deion's first marriage, he did go through a very dark time, right? He went through a very dark time, and there was an attempted suicide attempt. He was driving his car in Cincinnati, and he decided to drive it off the cliff. And that's where all of this, because if you remember, Deion didn't have this God conscience in his rhetoric. It was just, me, I'm bigging up me, my skills, my talents, blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. And then after the attempted suicide, Deion, he got more in touch with the Lord. And he said, that came from him just having a lot of pressure from, his wife leaving him and, just a whole bunch of other things. But this is what we look at and we call black excellence. Meanwhile, inside, they're ready to give it all away. They need to give it all away. And I'm telling you, if as a community, we're going to exert what little political capital we have and defend somebody, make sure it's somebody that's doing something for you. If I was to say something about BLM, people would be like, no, we don't support them. But in reality, we did. We did. They wouldn't have been able to reach to their heights without people's support.
This is true.
Same with Colin Kaepernick. You know, he was still a success because he still got bought out. He got the Nike contract. He had the top selling jersey for a while. He was able to go around the whole media circuit and do speeches and do that. Even after pivoting, taking this away from police brutality against American Freedmen male and putting this all about him, you know, and it's like we, you know, that's why, you know, I had some issues when Jay-Z came in and then double sold him out, right? He took the sellout and then he sold him out to the NFL. And now they doing this big hoopla about, hey, we got Usher. And I'm like, okay. But anyway, you know, it's like, and then even with that, the same people that was defending Colin Kaepernick when I was saying, no, he's pivoted, turned around and defended Jay-Z. He said, you know, we're past that. We're on the actionable item. And all he did was turn around and put J-Lo and a bunch of Hispanics on there. And it's like, come on, man. And we like praise this stuff as good business. Selling out is good business. It's
and
black
people don't
business.
understand it doesn't move our needle one bit. That's the thing. That's why I say I'm not going to feel sorry for Deion. I didn't feel sorry for Colin because I knew that there was another dynamic that had to do with it. I totally understood why he was kneeling. I totally got it initially, but then it became more, you know, dude, you made your point. Stay kneeling if you need to, but when he allowed himself to be disenfranchised, I was like, okay, maybe he really standing on some shit. But then when he took that check, I was like, okay, his handlers didn't know what they just did because it's over. He's never going to get another shot. Because no owner of any prominent team is not a Jerry Jones like, Stephen Ross like, Robert Kraft like, and you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Most of the owners are that. You're not gonna find too many owners that are gonna be on a more progressive lifestyle. What did old boy just say? We thought he was the man. John Elway, kneel on my field and you're fired immediately. That's John Elway. John Elway, American boy, big smile, had 45 teeth. No, John said, you kneel on my
real quick, huh?
You kneel on my field, we're done, bro. And who's his leader? His leader, he got a black quarterback now. Most of his team black, just like most of every NFL team's black. He don't care about you and your political feelings. Just like most of these owners don't care. Actually, they all don't care. They just know that they can't win without 70% of their team being Negroes.
That's what I said. So if there's this idea, that Colorado is our team, because there's what 3 or 4 black coaches in the NCAA that's undefeated right now. I know
still.
Yeah. This idea that because they have a black coach and black players, then we got a bunch of teams then.
Come on, man.
Harbaugh,
my guy over here, he been suspended for the first 3 games. He put his running back coach in charge of 1 game and put his offensive coordinator in charge of 1 game, and they both black. First Michigan head coaches black to ever walk the sidelines. Now, albeit it was because of a suspension, but they made a big deal about that. They ain't even a real head coach. They was just head coaches for halves and a game. But because it's prime time, they're making a big deal about it
because he's the cash cow in a white enclave,
right? And
so
because
that same media they saying is dogging him out is actually lifting him up.
And Harbaugh,
they understand.
They asked, they said, "What do you think about Deion?" He said, "I think it's great for the sport."
You know, there's a, and now that they lost, I just want to bring this up because you see Wu-Tang on the sideline, you see Lil Wayne there, you see like there's even people that I'm like, who is this guy? But you see a lot of the like social media comedians and influencers, Vin Diesel, Kawhi Leonard, who only goes to like 30% of his own games, if that, Dwayne Wade, The Rock. So do they continue to support now that he lost and potentially will take a second loss and won't be able to play for the national title or get into the tournament? Because I was thinking about it and I lost the reel, but I had there's this guy, he plays tennis, right? And he's just the swaggiest tennis player. I'm sure you've seen it. He's just out there.
I just saw him for the first time. They said he's old. I just looked his bio up. The dude's like near the end of his career.
Yeah. So like you become the sideshow,
right?
You know, if they continue to show up, it's just a sideshow. Because what happens, you know, the first game was against TCU. They get the victory. The second game, big game against Nebraska. Are they? I believe they're still in the Big Ten. I'm not sure.
Who's that?
Against Nebraska.
Yeah, they still here.
So Big Ten school, you know, big time program. Third game against Colorado State, a rivalry game, you know, and at this point the trajectory is just going up and up and up. Now this isn't anything, you know, negative about Deion Sanders. This is the problem with college football, is that you lose one or two games and you're just out of it. It's not like the NCAAs for men's basketball where you could have a learning process, you know, and take a bunch of L's in that course and still be able to get in and compete in the end. So basically a loss this week cements Deion Sanders and the Colorado University from being able to play in the NCAA football championship tournament. So at this point, you know, they're playing for a bowl game, but they aren't playing for the ultimate prize.
Right.
So if, you know, Drake decides to show up, and I'm sure he loves to go where the cameras is going, and whoever else decides to show up, at this point, they just become a sideshow. It's just a distraction. Because you're not playing for the ultimate prize at this point. I thought it was kind of premature that everybody was coming, you know, so quickly.
They had to build it up. They had to he wasn't even slated to win the 3 games. A lot of people said he could go 1-11 again. They were anticipating he was going to go 1-11. This is how
he was a major underdog against TCU.
He was 20-point underdog against TCU. But you got to understand, bringing the 86 new players in, that was a problem potentially, because that's a whole new football team. Yeah. And a whole new football team only having the cohesiveness for a few months versus being together at least for a year, that had the makings of a very undisciplined team, a lot of penalties, this, that, and the other. What we've noticed is he got what he could get out of the portal. He didn't get recruits. He got what he could get out of. These are not his players. These are free agents, you know, so to speak. Yeah. So next year he'll have a couple more big linemen. Right. there are a couple more alignment. He'll get a couple more on both sides.
You got Warren Sapp coming, so he'll have a O-line and a D-line coach.
Yeah, he'll be bona fide with his coaching staff, but he still ain't getting them dogs yet for another couple years, because some of them kids are committing in their junior years, especially with these establishing NIL deals. They're getting all that out the way because the NIL stuff becomes the main part of your thing, and they lock that in early. Lock that commitment in, get that money. Now they really can't go nowhere when the letter of intent day goes. So it's just going to be crazy.
So you're saying the NIL deal sometimes is tied to a school?
Absolutely. Because Michigan is losing players because their NIL deals, their NIL stuff is messed up here. This is how we lost Hunter Dickinson. This is how we lost our center going in his senior year. This is how we lose him. He's been here 3 years. And he decides to leave in his last year. Kansas gave him $2 million. Bye. See ya.
So I'll just end on this note. I thought it was bogus because Deion Sanders used all that Southern Baptist rhetoric when he went to Jackson State. If you knew you was still about the money, you shouldn't have even said nothing about the money. You shouldn't have said you was taking a discount. You shouldn't have said something about, you know, doing this for the culture, blah, 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 and all this, and then pivoting and leaving. As soon as he pivots and leave, we also should have pivoted and went away from Deion. And if you like him because he's a great personality, which he is, because he's a really good coach, because he was a really good coach on the high school level, and then he did it in Jackson State, because you believe he's a really good father, right. Which I'm, you know, looking at the products, I'm like, if you want your kids to, you know, flaunt and
be babies,
really opulent, but you know, that's the thing. And I'll just end on that note, is that we're not obligated to defend or, you know, speak up for anybody that doesn't speak up for us, for anybody that doesn't reciprocate that. If you know, individual success is just that. It's just individual success. And Deion has been having individual success his whole life. His whole life. And he's, you know, giving that to some of his kids to a degree. And they're carrying that legacy. Right. So we'll just end there. I appreciate you being here.
All right, bro. Yeah. I had to mute myself out because my granddaughter, she's at the door. They're up at the door. I was supposed to go get him, but I kind of detoured him to have him come here. So I'm on granddaddy duty now.
All right.
Let's chop this up a little bit deeper because I wanted to get into his kids. I know there's a dynamic with his kids too. He's trying to get them to the next level, and he also knows they weren't going to be able to leap as high as quickly from Jackson State as they are going to be able from Colorado. There's a dynamic there. We didn't get a chance to go down that road, but that's definitely something we need to look into because Deion's smart. He's smart. He knows that it's easier to get somewhere if you're already elevated versus coming all the way from the bottom. He already came from the bottom to get to where he's at.
Yeah.
He's not trying to have his kids come from the bottom to get where they need to go. There's a dynamic there. So let's holler later or, you know, on another one and let's talk about that.
All right. I appreciate you being on this stream.
All right, bro.
I hope everybody got something from this.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.